Welcome to Moviefone Unscripted. I'm Davis Guggenheim. I'm here with Al Gore, Mr. Al Gore. We're here to talk about our film, An Inconvenient Truth. We're going to ask each other questions and questions from Moviefone. So I'm here to start with the first one, Mr. Gore. In the film, we
I think that's the first time you've ever called me that.
Mr. How do you like people to call you, Al?
Your adequacy.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Why do you feel that the general public has been so resistant to accept global warming as a planetary emergency? That's in quotes. You call it a planetary emergency.
Yeah, I think it really is a planetary emergency. And that phrase itself sounds a little shrill to some people, but unfortunately it is accurate, deadly accurate. Yeah. So why has there been so much resistance? I've thought a lot about that. I think, first of all of a sudden, after quadrupling human population on the planet in just 100 years, and magnifying the power of our technologies thousands of times over, all of a sudden, we human beings have a new power, a new ability as a force of nature to cause changes, and harmful changes too, on the planet that we never could cause before. That's number one. Secondly, anything that seems like it might be painful to think about, we all, it's in our nature, we all kind of have a temptation to hold it at arm's length. Third, there has been a group of large polluters who have behaved the way that tobacco companies did years ago and trying to confuse the issue on the health consequences of smoking. And these large polluters have spent millions of dollars a year to try to confuse people about the science on global warming. The debate's over in the scientific community. There's a global consensus, and yet it seems from some of the news media coverage until pretty recently that it was a big raging debate about whether it's real or not, and it's so odd because in the scientific community, as I say, the debate's over.
I think that's the most remarkable thing you've done in this movie, is that the science is very complicated. It comes from different disciplines. There's a political history. Yeah. There's a relationship to past controversies. Yeah. This wonderful teacher you had at Harvard, and you found a way to pull it all together. And this is disparate information. It's all and complicated stuff.
Oh, you found a way to make it entertaining and funny, and the audiences love it. And of course, I'm going to say that, but it's really
They're
true.
Get the
and
everybody that we got along.
But you know, people are going to hear from their friends and neighbors and family members who've seen this that they ought to go see it, and that the word of mouth is really great. But behind all that, of course, there's a really crucial message that needs to get out there. We have got to have widespread recognition of the fact that we are in a planetary emergency. This climate crisis is the most serious challenge we've ever faced. It has the potential to end human civilization. We may not have more than 10 years before we cross some kind of point of no return, but we have everything we need to solve the crisis. Save perhaps political will, and you've heard me say this, and that's a renewable resource in America. But the way to renew it is by learning about it, and that's what this movie is all about. As many people don't seem to take the subject of global warming seriously in their own lives, wasn't it a big risk to try to get people to pay for a ticket and go see a movie about global warming? I mean, you know, you think, what do people want to do on Saturday? Go see a documentary on global warming. Who do they want to see in that movie? This guy, right? So wasn't that a risk?
I'm doing my own rough calculation, but as of today, I think almost 500,000 people have gone and paid $10 to see this movie.
How many slideshows is that? Gee.
I mean, that's the thing is until this movie, Al, you've been going around from city to city.
A few hundred at a time.
And I think what audiences are feeling is what I felt when I saw your slideshow a year ago this summer was, and you were up there with your computer and it was on a pretty small screen and it wasn't very dramatic. The visuals.
What do you mean it wasn't?
But seeing you in person, the difference, seeing you in person kept everyone's attention.
Yeah.
What I found when I saw it was that I've never seen global warming described in such an articulate, understandable, funny, thoughtful, soulful way.
If this were to go, sea level worldwide would go up 20 feet. This is what would happen in Florida.
And it's so gratifying because so many people are now saying that they've gone with friends and family members who have been skeptical or been Republican, conservative, whatever caused them to think that this was not something that they want. And then they come out and they're just as enthusiastic as somebody who was already prepared to be convinced. And that's what's most gratifying to me.
In the film, we see you traveling like an ordinary guy. What's the difference between Air Force Two and Coach?
Well, I sometimes joke at the beginning of speeches now that, put yourselves in my position. I flew on Air Force Two for 8 years, and now I have to take off my shoes to get on an airplane. Actually, a lot of times I do. And you filmed me quite a bit going through airports, and it's a privilege to be able to get around, so I don't pretend that I don't miss some of the aspects of flying on Air Force Two, but I've got no complaints.
People are surprised. They see you in the movie pulling out your computer and putting everything through security. They think you're still traveling with this giant retinue. The amazing thing, as I spent time with you, is you really go from city to city.
Yeah.
And the map in the movie is incredible. How many different cities you've been to in the last years just to tell this story?
Not a big entourage, no.
I think you have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's me. It's Davis to Mr. Gore. Oh, but it's unscripted.
Can you handle it?
I don't know. So I've been watching the publicity of this movie, and you get asked every single time whether you're running for president. And I know the answer, we don't have to get into that, but does it get...
So you're going to use your one unscripted moment to ask me that?
No, my question is, does it get tiresome? No, because it does for me. I feel like people just assume that there's a, that your ambitions are political. Yeah. And I see it every day that you're this is why you're here. And this is why, Does it get tiresome?
No, it doesn't, because I'm only human, and I'm flattered by the fact that somebody will come up and say, I think you ought to run for president. Right. I'm involved in a campaign, but it's not for a candidacy. It's to change the minds of the American people. I want whoever actually does run the next time around for president, in both parties, to encounter an electorate out there that's made up of people in both parties and independents as well, who confront them with a sense of real urgency. Then whoever runs and whoever's elected will be in a position to really solve the crisis.
And every single day, there's a new piece of science that's coming out, and you have to assess it, and you have to see whether it can fold in. And I've seen you, even since the movie is made, take new information and put it into your presentation.
Yeah. I was just changing a slide today.
It feels like a real campaign.
Last week in South Punjab, in the subcontinent, technically it was in Pakistan, it reached 124 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a scene in the movie where it says, in one of the summers that we were focusing on there, it reached 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the slideshow says, and just last week, 124 degrees Fahrenheit.
If you look at the 10 hottest years ever measured, they've all occurred in the last 14 years. And the hottest of all was 2005.
But the main reason I'm so happy about getting this movie out into the theaters where people can see it is that it arms people with the facts.
If you had to cast any actor to play you in a movie, who would it be?
Now that's a real curveball.
I got one for you.
Yeah, tell me.
So I was on a radio show this week, and they said, Davis, you directed 24. Yeah. And what's the difference between filming Jack Bauer? Do you know who Jack Bauer is? Kiefer Sutherland plays this guy. Of course. And he's the only one who knows that this crisis is going to happen and the president's going to be in trouble and all that kind of stuff. And I thought about it. Yeah. And I was like, well, it's kind of like watching Al Gore going from city to city, trying to save the world, and no one will listen. And even and I was like, well, the only difference really is that with 24, it's pretend. Oh, yeah. And this is real.
But now in that script, the president was a real villain, right?
It's some of them, with different seasons, yes, but not in the script.
But last season.
I didn't work on last season, so but maybe that is real.
Anyway, well, it's been great working with you, my friend.
You too. This has been fun.
Thanks. Thank you to Moviefone. Thanks to my friend Davis Guggenheim. he's been interviewing me for the movie all this. I get at least a step toward equal time here in asking questions. But thank you all very much. I hope you get to see the movie, An Inconvenient Truth. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's Al's camera. We're fine.